Hey everybody, it's Rob, and welcome back to another episode of Tools of the Trade. This is episode 3, and Tools of the Trade is my videos that I'm doing on what tools do you need to get into and run role-playing games of different types, and how much you should expect to spend, from bare bones up to, buying all the trips and triggers. This video isn't really about getting into the game so much as you've already gotten into it, but where do you go from here? And it's springboarding off of episode 2, where I talked about getting into Call of Cthulhu as a player or a keeper. And in this video I'd like to talk to you about if you are getting into Call of Cthulhu as a keeper, and maybe you have bought the starter set and played a couple of adventures with it and had fun, you and your group. And then maybe you've even gone on and gotten the Keeper's Rule Book, Investigator's Handbook, or maybe you're still using the starter set. Either way, one question that I see come up online a lot is recommendations for where to go from here. Well, I have a book that I'm going to talk about today that is a really good book for doing just that. And that is Call of Cthulhu's Doors to Darkness. Doors to Darkness is a adventure book with 5 adventures in it, plus some other stuff that we're going to talk about. And each of the adventures in it, they, as good as the haunting is and whatnot, by they I mean Chaosium, they get a lot of comments about people wanting other adventures that are quick, that they can play in one game night, or they can run in one session at a convention or game store or whatever to show the game off. And that's what this book is. This book is a collected group of 5 adventures that you can play, each one in 4 to 5 hours with no problem. You can use it with either the starter set, or you can use it with the Call of Cthulhu Keeper's Rule Book. So either way you go, this is a great set of adventures. I'll go ahead and tell you the adventures in them, but that's in it. But I'm not going to. I'm just going to give the little blurb for it. I'm not going to give away anything in case you happen to play one of these adventures. I don't want to spoil stuff for you. The adventures that come in it are Darkness Beneath the Hill. The Darkness Beneath the Hill. A friend's house renovation project leads to unexpected discoveries in Providence, Rhode Island. Genius Loci. Not All Is Well at Danvers State Lunatic Asylum, and it's down to the investigators to heed a friend in need's cry. Then you have Servants of the Lake. The hunt for a missing person reveals ancient secrets in the wilds north of Kingsport. Ties That Bind is the 4th adventure. Strange rock formations have been found in Miss Carrington's prized fountain, but these are like no rocks seen before. And the last adventure in here is None More Black. The death of a Miskatonic University student leads the investigators into unsavory neighborhoods and dark business dealings. I have not run these. I just got this book not too long ago, about a week ago. But I've read through a few of the adventures already, and they are really good. They're pretty straightforward. The lethality of the adventures is kind of dialed back a little bit. And I think that's a good thing, especially when you're trying to introduce new players to the game. You don't want to just kill them outright. And I've already done videos on that. Don't kill the players. If you have to, kill the characters, but not the players. That's bad. Most of the time. But what else does it have in it? Well, it also has 10 pre-generated characters, full character sheets, and let's flip to one real quick. And they have all their stats and pictures of the character on them. And I can run through them real quick and let you know which ones are in here. You have a boxer, you have an author, you have a scientist, you have a custodian, you have a physician, you have a stage magician, you have a professor of geology, you have a Catholic priest, you have a journalist, and a parapsychologist. Now, if you're wanting to run at a convention or maybe free RPG day to get people into the game, or just host running the game at your local shop, or you're wanting to run for your group but you don't want to take the time to make characters, there are 10 characters to choose from in this book that are ready to go. Just throw them out there and let people pick. They are not specifically tied to any of the adventures in this book, so you don't have to use these. People, if you want to drop these adventures into an ongoing campaign, there is no reason that the characters that are already being played can't be used. This is just giving you 10 extra characters that you can use as you see fit. Now, I will say that yes, these adventures aren't necessarily as lethal as some other adventures in the Call of Cthulhu line, but that doesn't mean that they're a walk in the park, and it doesn't mean that you can't use these with an experienced group, because you most definitely can. These are great drop-in adventures if you're wanting to extend your campaign. Remember, go back and watch the Call of Cthulhu campaign videos I did. I talk about doing that in there. So they're really great for that. And, it doesn't have to be super lethal to be fun. And a lot of these are some really great stories. But they are kind of set up straightforward for making it easier for keepers and players getting into the game. So going into the book, you have your introduction, which has one of my favorite lines in any of the books in it. It says, the idea behind this book came from a number of different sources that seemed to go together just like peanut butter and jelly, or the tiny towns of Innsmouth and unsafe sex. Fantastic, guys. And it goes on to talk about why they put the book together, which I've just done. But then chapter 1, which is not an adventure, the rest of the book is adventures and then the pre-gen characters. But chapter 1 is a chapter called Sharing Nightmares, and it is by Kevin Ross, and it is a collection of tips for game mastering and playing Call of Cthulhu. And I'm obviously not going to read the entire thing to you, but I'm going to kind of skim over and tell you what sections are in here, because I read through it the other night. And, I'm an experienced keeper, and I still thought it was a really good little essay to read. And I highly recommend you pick it up and read it. So it has his little introduction about it, and then he goes on to talk about styles of play, creating investigators and bringing them together. There's a section on doing the adventure hooks, learning the rules, plus bending and breaking the rules. Characters using information for research. Creating monsters and investigating them. Foes, humans and otherwise. Common elements of Lovecraftian plots. Atmosphere. And then the play is the thing, is what it ends with. And I will read that part to you. It's just a little short paragraph. Ultimately, Call of Cthulhu is your game, and you should play it according to your taste, using the rules as you see fit. Make sure everyone is having fun, or at least as much fun as they can have going, crazy in this kind of game. And that's something I want to reiterate on pretty much any role-playing game. I see people all the time that get into these huge arguments online about, well, this rule says do it this way, and this rule says to do it that. And I get it. Some people love to argue about rules. But at the end of the day, as long as you and your players are having a good time at the table, then you're doing it right. There's no wrong way to do it. It's not chess. It's not a game with a finite set of rules that everything has to operate a certain way. It's very much like it's actually a lot like Savage Worlds, not in mechanics, but in the sense that there are a lot of plug and play options. You can make it as simplistic as you want to, up to as complicated as you want to. For instance, when I use sanity, I have a couple of different things I do. I bought a set of really cool sanity dice that have sanity effects on them. And when my players fail a sanity roll and they lose 1 to 4 sanity, they do not cause, because they haven't lost 5 sanity, they don't cause temporary insanity. So they just have some little odd quirk for a few minutes that happens. I roll the insanity dice and I pick from there as far as what happens. Temporary insanity works the way it's supposed to when they lose 5 or more. However, when it comes to campaigns, one of the things I have stopped doing, and this is my personal group, is I don't use indefinite insanity in a campaign, because I have found that it can, with a series of bad die rolls, it can become detrimental to the group. And I remember going back to a game I ran with just the core rules, just the free base rules, a few years ago, and when I was running that, we never had that problem with somebody going indefinitely insane and, you know, having a bout of madness every time they lose a point of sanity. And I kept wondering why, so I went back and looked at those rules. And in the base rules, they don't use indefinite insanity. You have temporary insanity and then permanent insanity. And permanent insanity is when your sanity reaches 0 and your character becomes an NPC, because there's no coming back from that. So when it comes to a campaign, because I don't want it to get derailed and destroyed, I don't use indefinite insanity. I just threw it out. Now, if I was playing a one-shot, and by one-shot again, I mean, you know, it might take 1 night, it might take 3 nights to play. It just depends on the length of the adventure and how long the players want to play it. In something like that, where it's just one story, then yes, I will use indefinite insanity because it's just to the end of that story. But I don't want to use indefinite insanity in a campaign where it can severely hinder the next couple of chapters of play. And I get there are ways around that, and my way around that was I just took it out, and my players seem a lot happier that I took it out. They don't mind going temporarily insane for maybe a few hours, but for weeks on end, not super fun. We don't find it super fun, so we're not using that rule. And that is something that I'm just doing, and I don't care if the RPG police come around. I do what I want, as long as my wife lets me. But I do what I want, mostly. And you can too. These books right here, they're, like I said, they're set up for beginning players, but you don't have to play it for beginning players. You can drop these into ongoing campaigns with experienced players, and I assure you, I've read a lot of it. They're still going to have a lot of fun with it. There's another one of these books that they put out that I wanted to get in time for doing this video, Gateways to Terror, and I did not get a chance to buy it yet. So maybe when I get it, I might go back and do another video and just show you, because I like to show you what's in the books. Sometimes it's better, I find, watching a video to see what's in them than it is just reading it off a website, and that's why I do these videos. It's not a true review, I guess. It's more of a, it's not even an unboxing because there's no box. So I guess it's an unbooking. I don't know, open booking. But I like to open these products up and go through them and kind of let you know what's in them so that you know whether it's something you want to purchase for your group or not. And I hope that the video helps with that. So that being said, this video is not all that long. There's not a whole lot to talk about without going into each adventure and giving some stuff away. I will say that the adventures are really good, and I highly suggest checking it out, especially if you're a new keeper, because as a new keeper, if you've gotten done with the box set and or moved on to the main rule book and you're looking for adventures to get into next, here's 5 nights of adventure. Because you play them in 1 night. The retail on this book is $35. So that's not bad. Hardback book, $35. 5 adventures, not counting the 10 pre-gens that you get, not counting the great article by Kevin Ross on being a new keeper and player. But you have 5 adventures for $35. That comes out to $7 a piece. not too many games out there that you can buy a night's worth of fun for $7. And essentially that's what you're doing here. So again, Doors to Darkness, really good book. I can't wait to run some of these for my players, and I hope that, you know, if this sounds like something you want to use for your group, that you got some use out of this video. And if I get the Gateways to Terror, I don't know, whichever one it is, when I get that one, I will go through it and let you guys know what's in it too, because it may be, you know, more adventures that you want to, you know, take your players through. That's all I really got on that for this week. I know it's kind of a short video, but, you know, again, I hope you found something useful in it. If you like the video or the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification button, and feel free to share the video with your friends. If you didn't, you can hit a thumbs down. You know, whatever floats your boat, man. Until next week, good gaming, good luck.